To say that sickness led to my awakening is slightly misleading. It implies that I didn't know who my father was or the issues that he had, which is not true. I knew. But for a while, I believed that I could make a difference. That if I served, if I prayed and believed and remained hopeful, that my father would change. But he also made me believe that he somehow made me believe it every time I got this inkling to leave. The inkling came every time my spirit got to a point where it was overwhelmed. But to be honest with you, I could never put my finger on it. It wasn't until I became sick that the idea came to me, that God gave me the idea to record my father's sermons. See, I'd been in counseling since 2012, and over time I'd learned, or was in the process of learning, how to listen to my body and its signs, the signs that it gives you that something isn't quite right, either inside of your body or in the environment. And it seemed to be that I was getting these feelings every time I was in church. Specifically when my father would enter the sanctuary and when he'd preach. When he delivered the altar appeal. It was something there that just didn't quite sit right within my spirit, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it until sickness debilitated me, handicapped me. It really set me on my ass. This is the moment that I recall so vividly, is when I was in the shower and I had been bleeding from my anus and I had been vomiting, but I wasn't able to keep any food in and I wasn't able to consume any food. So I was like quite literally vomiting mucus and air. And at the same time, my stomach was just in absolute knots. It was as if someone was wringing it out like it was just like a wet rag. It was just wringing and wringing. It was just the absolute torture of it. And then it would just make its way down my GI tract, and if it was even able to make it past the hernia that was up in my sternum. But then once it make it past that part, it would burn and just, it was like as if someone was just cutting me, and it was just raw and like pouring alcohol on an open wound. It's just burning within me. And then it'll make its way down and out of my body with absolute excruciating pain. It was unbearable. I would hold on to the walls and I would cry, and I would have cold sweats, and I would just cry out to God. It was terrible. And then I would try to manage it all, just somehow calm my system by getting high. And somehow ease the pain and settle my stomach and calm my nerves. But that's where I was humble to the point of hearing God's voice so clearly. So clearly. So clearly. And it was just like, it's him. It's my Father. It's him that is making me sick. It's the pastor. It's my Father. It's him. And just like I had to surgically remove, like literally, my whole sigmoid colon is gone, part of my intestine, and a little extra just to make sure that all of the infected area was out, just to make sure that any other area that could possibly be touched, infected, was just cut out. It had to be removed. And just like it is with my father, I feel like it's the exact same thing. It's almost like it's ironic, it's divine, it's symbolic, it's everything. It's the message within the message. He was the cancer. He was the infected areas of your colon, just the absolute crap of society. And it's about high time that we admit that there is absolute crap in our society, and all they will ever deliver, all they will ever bring about is shit. I mean, that's it. That's all they will ever give. That's all they will ever do. That's the outcome of everything they touch. Everything they touch turns to shit. I mean, let's just call a thing a thing. I don't even know why I started talking. I don't even know why I started this whole monologue, you know? I don't even remember what my point was. I just know that I don't want it in my life. I don't want it around me. I don't want it, like, I don't want it. I don't want it. And it's like, why can't we just admit that? Why can't we just say that and do what is necessary to rid ourselves of it? We're just not like that. We don't operate like that. We don't do that. We don't objectify people. We don't take advantage. We don't exploit. We don't control. We don't manipulate. We don't do that stuff. You know what I'm saying? We don't abuse. We don't violate. We don't hate. And so why should we accept any of that even anywhere near us? Like, so what is a family member? So what it's Uncle so and so or Auntie so and so or pops or moms or ma dukes or whatever the hell you want to call them, or cousin so and so, or friend or coworker or whatever. Who cares? Get rid of them. Separate yourselves from what is sucking you dry, what is sucking the life out of you, what is draining you. They call them energy vampires. Even just being around them does something to you. It just drains you. It just makes you tired. It just doesn't sit right in your system. It's just like, ugh, you know? Ugh. And that's how I feel. I don't like I didn't like who I was becoming around my father. Just being around him made me different. It made me unrecognizable to myself and to my husband and to my sons. I didn't like who I was becoming around him. And most of the time that I was around him was in the church. So imagine that. Imagine going to church and feeling like you don't like who you are when you leave the church building. But you don't like it. It's like it's a circus and you're like one of the ringleaders, but you haven't signed up for that. Like you're not into that. Like you just really just want to come and just serve. And then here you are having to be this person that someone else wants you to be, that someone else created in their minds that you should be, because this person that they created in their minds is helping them to be the person that they created in their minds for themselves. It don't even have nothing to do with you. Like you don't even have nothing to do with this. It's not even anything about what you want, what you desire, or anything like that. Your personality or anything. It's just all about them. It's like you're a game piece. Like this, like everything was just centered around them, and you're just there to play a puzzle piece just at their will. They can just move you and manipulate the game and not even play by the rules as they see fit. They're not even gonna play the game right. Like that's the killer part about it. It's like at least if they're gonna use you as a game piece, at least play the game how it's meant to be played. But no. No, they're gonna just make up the rules as they go. It's whatever. You're never gonna know what to expect from these type of people because they just make it up as they go. But just know that it'll never be for your benefit. If you benefit from anything that they do, it's just haphazard, an unintended consequence. What they really mean is for them to benefit. And if you benefit in the meantime, it's only because they want to be able to bring it up later so they can be like, you know what, do you remember that time when I did such and such and I cut all those corners and you got the money and you got all the praise and you got all this and that, you know, and you didn't say anything. You didn't call them out. You didn't speak out against it. So because you didn't, now you're bound. Now there is an unwritten contract, between you and this toxic person. And you're stuck in there now. You messed up when you remained silent, when you didn't speak out against the things that you saw. They saw that you looked at them. They saw that you recognized that they were wrong. And because you remained silent, you were complicit. You were just as wrong as they are, as the one who committed the crime. And they know that. And they're going to use that against you. So even before you do that, you have to ask yourself, what side do you stand on? Do you even want to put yourself in that position to have to compromise, to have to make a decision between what's morally right and what is financially beneficial, or, what helps you to get the power and the fame and the whatever? What does it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? That's when that scripture comes into play. It's like right now. When you have a decision to make on what side you will stand on. And for some of you, it's like, I'm sorry that, you're faced with this decision, because I know that it's a challenge. It's a challenge for some of you to make this decision. But you won't regret doing what's right. Maybe in the short term, it's not going to be comfortable. Like it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck either way, you know. But you know that in the end, you did what was right. And you already know that in the end, that will shine through. When it says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? That means that he actually did gain the whole world. But in the end, he lost his soul. Which means that on the flip side of it, that if you choose the righteous way, right, then that means that you may have some discomfort in the short term. Right? You may feel like you're losing. But in the end, you will profit. It will be beneficial. It will pay off. That's just how that works. That's just how that works. This is Delores, the pastor's daughter. Bye-bye for now.